Hello, Aries. Welcome to your reading for June 9th through the 16th. So it's so interesting. Yesterday, I was like, I had done 3 readings, and I was at this point where I was like, ooh, I could push myself and get Aries done and have it timely, orderly, fashionably, on time, / kind of late for the week. And I was like, you know what? I felt this tingle in my throat. And it was like, okay, I already went through this. And I had to decide to balance out my giving and receiving, my yin and my yang energy, and rest. So this could be coming up for you. Aries, we are done working ourselves to a crisp. Like, we got the lover and the beloved, ancestral rose of Ma. I feel like this is us opening up to flourishing. Just like good bacteria in our gut, we need to have very appropriate boundaries with ourselves. We need to honor ourself, our vessel, as a container for spirit, but we don't want to burn the candle at both ends. We want to instead be in harmony and in divine flow rather than maybe any preconceived notions of what it looks like. Because, if you're juggling things like I am, to where it's like new information's coming in, new insights, say, like for me, we have the world 21, sun at 21 degrees Gemini on this day that I'm sharing these messages with you. I have my first intuitive medical work coming up. So I have a solo exhibition that I'm planning. My husband and I are traveling to the Southern Hemisphere for about a week it's like our summer trip, but it's going to be during the winter solstice in the Southern Hemisphere, summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. So I have a feeling that you're seeing yourself and your capacities in a new perspective. You're dropping out of toxic ways of being with yourself. And specifically from Sunday, the moon was in Cancer. I feel like we had a lot of nurturing to do, Aries. And then moving into Moon Day, the moon shifted into Leo. So I think that these themes came up. You opening your heart to something greater, working smarter, not harder, and then you're balancing out your energy of divine masculine, divine feminine. And this is giving you this heightened sense of clarity, of your calling, of your purpose. And now let's look at Mars Day. So let's get to the aspects. There is a quincunx between the moon and Saturn. And quincunx is, I don't know if I studied it. Well, let's look it up. I think it feels like it's speaking to change, symmetry, balance between our emotions and our obligations. And with Mars squaring Pluto, we are having to gain a sense of interlocking with ways that we would get what we want in new ways that are of the heart, that are alleviated of toxic ways of communicating with human design. I've been following gene keys to help me kind of come into some more information, a better understanding of what the transits have to say. And this week we're moving from the shadow of dominance to the city of communication through the way of synergy. So some of us Aries with our fiery Martian type energy are going to have to mute out this need to be in power, in control. And what I've found with Pluto placements is that Pluto loves power, but with Pluto's evolution, its transcendence from being the stinging scorpion to the owl, to the eagle, to the phoenix, is like this lashing on with its talons or stinger or any sort of means to like strike at the opponent, and transcending to, just like Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and the various roles that Phoenix Dumbledore had played in Harry's magical journey of defeating this part of him that was this darkness, that wanted power, ultimate control, everyone to bow down and to be in this state of doom and gloom, and moving into a place of sophisticated interlocking, of sophisticated promotion. Because with Saturn and Pisces, I feel that we're coming into a place of healing our wisdom, our communication. It's 10th house to Gemini, the sun in Gemini. And for this Mars day, we have Al-Uzza star of Venus. And Venus is currently at 22 degrees Gemini. That's so fascinating. So we're breaking down to break through how we once sought control over our limited time here on Earth. Time is an illusion. And I feel that Saturn is the timekeeper, but Saturn wants for us to come out of the illusion or the delusion of time being a restraint. As Saturn is in Pisces, we're moving through, I think, the realms of connection and opening our hearts to more like longevity and sustained sophistication with the karma that we have to let go of. So this sustained sophistication would be like you have karmic memories that are locked into your system that are rupturing to break free. And the more that you tune into the heart and go away from this need to have power, dominance, and control, we come into this synergy, this mode of connecting to others in meaningful ways that can help benefit all of humanity. That's what our 10th house represents. And when the sun is having a 10th house transit with Saturn, we are being called to step up and level up how we voice what it is that we would like to leave behind with our legacy. All right, so let's go into Mercury Day. I have also my first medical intuitive share. I shared part of it on Instagram, and then there's a link to my Instagram for YouTube to see like the specific pressure points. I don't know them all by heart, but I could show you. It's like this, and then one on the foot because Saturn is in Pisces. So you want to look at those specifically. And if you feel the sacred squeeze of everything seeming to close in on you, and maybe even like you feel some blockages in your throat chakra, working with these acupressure points can alleviate some of these tensions and then move you into a synergistic flow with your intuition and your developing heart opening. Also with the Chinese meridian, let's see what those timings are. So 1 to 5 a.m. are important times, which, you know, my dream genius friend, she just shared a book. I have so many resources that are like digital. So maybe this is coming up for you guys. This audiobook, Dreaming the Soul Back Home by Robert Moss. Shamanic Dreaming for Healing and Becoming Whole. It has a butterfly on the cover, so it's definitely speaking to the season. For those of you guys who are wanting to tune into that time frame tonight, I guess I have to post this today because usually I would post it for the next day, but like, you know, if it comes up to where you see this later into the future, go back to this day. If you had any specific dreams, I believe that you are coming home to your soul, and this will be a great way for you to direct yourself into this state of synergy and into communicating in ways that were not comfortable for you because it required too much vulnerability. So this is for Mercury Day, Kamala Devi. This also would emphasize this 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. and things that you could eat to help you are ginger, green tea, warm teas, pears and almonds. Things to not have. If you wake up at that time and you go to your fridge, are anything cold, processed sugar, dairy, and something neutral. So if you wake up and you have to work, oats and rice. Something that's really nice. You can put it in the fridge and then like let it cool down while you do your morning routine. Kamala Devi, net 7. So let's go to Jupiter Day. And on Mercury Day, Mercury is at 19 degrees Gemini. So that's what that building square is, to where you could work with the acupressure points to relieve some of this need to maybe be dominating and controlling, and then come from the heart to leave behind a legacy that's really worthy of your soul mission in this incarnation. On Jupiter Day, Jupiter, 4 degrees Gemini, it's really going to, I feel, require this opening of the heart. Look at how regal Kamala Devi is. And then it's going to be, I believe, pulling from that Saturn square. And also, I guess I have to share this love tuner. I got this. It's a 528 hertz tuner, and today I had so much anxiety. And previously, I was coping with cannabis, like very toxically engaging with it, to where I just didn't want to be present. I wanted to numb myself, and I wanted to escape the impending emotions that were going to open me to a new way of seeing, a new perspective. This is what the world was speaking to. So it could have even been this day that was building from the start of this year to June 11th and 12th, was this need to really gain this new perspective, free myself of this clinging, as I'm specifically living on a Mars and Uranus line, or an ascendant and Uranus line, which aspects my Martian placement of Aries on my rising, and the Uranus line being Capricorn. So it's like Saturn and Mars energy combining to lead us into this state of grace. All right, let me read out what Kamala Devi has to say, and then I feel that Inside Degrees wants to come through. Kamala is the tantric emanation of Lakshmi, awakening deeper spiritual understanding of the nature of material prosperity and spiritual enlightenment. Kamala provides many beautiful gifts in such a way that we learn and grow through the blessings. So this leads me to see Mars at 3 degrees Taurus, speaking of Mars, and Uranus at 24 degrees Taurus. So let's read both of these. A sleepwalker. So this came up in Sagittarius's reading potentially. So if you're interlocking with the Sag, or you have this ninth house research capacity to what it is that you're growing through right now, Aries, this is for you. Everything begins with an inward cast, and then if you wish to get anywhere, you must go there on the inside and meet yourself there when you arrive. You feel a desire to memorize the territory of the inner ways. I almost said monetize. So you might be monetizing the territory of the inner ways, remembering them, recognizing them, and then being able to follow them when it counts. You feel like you've been taught in the dream state, shown everything in dreamless sleep and through dreams. So this would be exactly what I was saying about Dreaming the Soul Home by Robert, let's see, what's his name? Robert Moss. You're subtly and pervasively closely accompanied by a protective guiding spirit, held within the soul's alembic, entrusted to the angels, living in the threshold sensitivity, attuned to the edge, led by the spirit through darkness into light, subliminal, enchanted, anxious, and at peace, always searching for something more, remembering in your soul the lost earth ways, and giving over to spirits you belong to the infinite wanderer through the finite worlds. You are like a stranger knowing something else is at stake here, something else is going on here, something else is completely involved. So this would be your mission to honor what Kamala Devi has for us. So let's go further into her. And this is speaking to Jupiter Day's energy. Rupturing, I think, any structures that would hold you back from just going intuitive and being fully okay with not knowing and not having that Instagram verification badge, and like, you know, having to deal with feeling like maybe what you have to say isn't that important because the outer world could tell you what's within your inner world. So you have to come into this inner knowing that you are on a mission that is for you to expand. Tantra exists outside of conventional religious practices and social mores. We cannot access true and sacred knowledge of oneself or the world when bound by the opinions of mass culture. We cannot find our authentic being with such constraints. Societal conditioning lacks the wisdom, generosity, freedom, respect, spaciousness, and insight to be able to bear the process of individual awakening. That can only happen outside society's constructs. This is why enlightened mystics in every, I almost said entitled mystics, in every religious tradition, entitled mystics have come into conflict with traditional figureheads in their region. They were entitled maybe because they had this prophecy, and then the structure of the traditional figureheads were like not in that energy, so they had to reject and say, where'd you get this from? Who gave you rights to this information? And it's spirit, it's seeing beyond the veil, but we have to understand that we verify ourselves. We have that badge of soul that is attractive. It's magnetic. And then I was just listening to an astrologer, Tara Moore Love, give some shares on Saturn. And the thing about Saturn is it's a gas giant. Yes, its magnetics and its attraction holds together a lot within the solar system, but it is also the crone, the mother, the keeper of time, the sea goat. So there's this aspect of Saturn that is very feminine, and it's also very yang. It's very masculine to be known as Kronos, who ate his children. And so I almost said Chinkras, but Chiron's orbit is in between Uranus and Saturn, and that's the wounded healer ruled by Virgo. So that's a sixth house aspect. Let's get into Venus Day. I love how this is just flowing. On Venus Day, the moon is in the sixth house to Aries, but the fourth house to the sun in Gemini. So we're having to deeply come into our foundations and see what it was that helped us to see our clarity. And then also, this was from my Saturn webinar, but I feel it's worthy of sharing. What you were doing between the ages of 2 and 3, you either will vote yes or vote no to after your Saturn return. So we have our first Saturn return when we're born, and then it's like we're born, those placements happen, and then between the ages of 2 and 3, I feel that Saturn goes retrograde and then it goes forward. I have a Saturn retrograde, so you guys might need to fact check this, do your own research. But then when we come into our second Saturn return between the ages of 28 and a half and then 33, what we were doing before Saturn return may have introduced us to it, or we will say, okay, this wasn't really for me, that was like a past life, I just had to get through this energy of feeling like a failure or feeling like a fraud, and then move past that energy and be really rooted and grounded in what we know. Okay, so, whoa, this is exactly what I was speaking to. Okay, let Kamala Devi show you the graceful path through any difficulties by consulting with your heart and having the patience and willingness to see another way. Locking horns in direct conflict is not always going to lead you towards the outcome you wish. Ooh. She is known as peaceful and carries the energy of Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, and the planetary sister to Earth, Venus, which is our next card, Al is a star of Venus. So this takes us into Saturn Day. I love how my psychic intuitive gifts are picking up. It's so fun to see like over time and then in real time. So a 26 is Saturn, and Saturn is exalted in Venus because in the angel cards, it's the card of justice, number 8. And then that's also Saturn's vibration is 8. So it's like if you turn infinity on its side, it's an 8. And then what Sensei says, my Sensei Christopher Witecki, is a decision is an incision in consciousness. You have to undecide something to reconsider. So you have to formally command and decree your reality also to create the reality you want. Saturn Day, Al is a star of Venus, Sun is at 24 degrees, Gemini, and Saturn is at 19 degrees Pisces. So let's see actually what this square is, or what this placement is. So there aren't any direct aspects, but let's see what's happening anyways with Saturn. Saturn is squaring the Sun. So we are coming into, I believe, a heightened artistic capacity to channel from the spiritual sense. As a star of Venus. And someone might try and call you on it, and then all you have to do is just see how that is within you. How when we dissolve the other, we find the self. And we can, in the moment, just drop into stillness and let that, emotional rupture wash over us and wash us clean of a need to be right, of a need to know. Because we don't really need to know when Saturn's in Pisces, we just have to be. I am the pure light, my son. I am not a handful of worthless dust. I am not just an empty shell. I am a regal pearl formed in this world. Close your eyes and see to become aware of me. Precede me with the eyes that see the unseen. Come into the mystery to find me. I am a carefree visitor here for you. Okay, to take the great transformation from man or woman into cosmic androgyne does not require that we lose our sense of femininity or masculinity. Rather, they become so superior in development that they cease to be distinguished from each other. Our masculine clarity with its discernment, practicality, and application becomes so tender, loving, compassionate, and tempered with grace that the feminine is integrated with it. Our feminine nurturance, dedication, and connection to life becomes so fierce that discernment and wise action naturally prevail. With this great androgynous integration of the masculine and feminine into oneness, men and women of this beautiful earth become capable of a new consciousness. It is of one based in love, service to life, and letting go of judgment, stereotypes, and limited belief systems, and of opening up to compassion for all life. As the consciousness is anchored, spiritual growth becomes rapid. This is not necessarily without some bumps and bruises. Letting go of old notions of what it is to be a man or a woman, to be masculine or feminine. Letting go of fear of women or men, of emasculation or victimization. Letting go of wounding are all great steps forward. They promise liberation, empowerment, and compassion, as well as peace and happiness, yet they are not easy steps to take. Great resistance can be evoked within you as an individual and also within the culture around you, which might find your notion of personal spiritual empowerment confronting and challenging to their culture of fear-based enslavement of the soul. Ooh. So then what to do? Al-Uzza, the ancient shining one, also known as the Star of Venus, holds much power and strength. Even a small blessing of her light is more powerful than the fear of thousands, if not millions of people. She is known as a worthy ally in the battle of any kind, especially a spiritual battle. We must, however, stay aligned with her way, which is not to fight fear with fear, hate with hate, or anger with anger. Okay, let's tap in on Sunday, because it's definitely saying let these emotions wash over you. And I feel that Sunday, sun at 25 degrees Gemini, will prove you right. Like, you're going to get these signs, symbols, synchronicities come Sunday that are irrefutable, that you're on the path, and that things are coming together for you in your career and your legacy. We have, what aspects do we have? There's a sextile between the sun and the moon, and I feel like that's a square between Black Moon Lilith and the sun. Let's see. That stood out to me. Lilith and the sun. Yeah, Lilith is squaring the sun, so we have to feel our way through opening up past these fears of what culture and society has to say. Kurukala, she was upside down, so I think that it's, whatever her message is, it's going to be like refrain from these direct ways of interlocking with people and find ways to be still in those moments. The stillness is everything. All right, Kurukala, beloved goddess of attraction and subjugation, I invite your sacred protection and wisdom to manifest in my life for the spiritual benefit of all beings. I open myself completely to life, held safely in the ruby red sanctuary of your being. Clear my path to true bliss, Ma. My heart dances with yours in happiness and grace now. May all beings be liberated joyfully into your blissful nature. Jai Ma Kurukole. I want to see what the first part has to say. So one of the powers that Kurukala bestows is the ability to remain open to life without fear. Sometimes due to past experiences of pain, we close ourselves off from life in an effort to avoid further harm. In doing so, we may unwittingly close ourselves off from the gifts meant for us. While seeking solitude and sanctuary as a time to heal is a wise practice, we need to take care that we remain open to life. We need to balance a heightened need for personal space, especially for sensitive souls, with healthy and nourishing connections. Otherwise, we would experience depression and profound fatigue through essentially cutting ourselves off from the revitalizing nature of life itself. I feel so called out. Like, I literally am going to attend a day experience of a weekend retreat that I wasn't going to do. I had so many reasons not to do it, but it was like all these petty reasons. And I spoke to this in, whose reading did I speak to this in? I'll just have to check later, but I spoke to it in a reading, and it's like we have the ability to reestablish aloha net 5 on this day where soul is guiding us, and it might just be through feelings that will later come to, in about 6 months, come into real connections with profound people who you've come to see, and thus they could see you in their reflection. Aries, love you all so much. Let's stop working ourselves until we are deadbeat exhausted. We need to replenish ourselves with nourishing connections, nourishing practices, nourishing foods. Take the time out, and you will find that your body and your soul and the wisdom for you find you naturally. Sending you guys so much love. See you all soon.